Welcome back. Today, I want to talk about the importance of experiencing uncomfortable emotions in order to grow, basically. And when I say uncomfortable emotions, I mean certain levels of anxiety or, you know, anything like that, but in a safe environment, not something that you're truly scared of, not something where you're, in danger. I'm talking about if you have a social anxiety or if certain situations just make you uncomfortable, how important I think it is to experience those emotions and kind of sit in them in order to grow from them. So for me, my number one fear for a long time was public speaking. And I've talked about this a little bit, but I'm going to go a little more in depth in terms of the emotional aspect to it. I hated public speaking, just anything I could do to get out of it, I would do to avoid it. And so when I made the decision to voluntarily, and that's important with this, it's where you put yourself in a voluntary position to feel uncomfortable, not when someone is forcing you to do it. So let's say you don't like public speaking and your job is like, yeah, we want you to do this presentation in front of all of these people, whenever they want you to do it. It's not like that, because when someone forces you to do something that's uncomfortable, a lot of times the growth, in my opinion, is a little bit limited because you develop a reluctance to it and sometimes what's the word? A resentment to the person who's making you do it. It doesn't have to be a huge resentment, but it's different if someone forces you to do this versus if you willingly say, I'm uncomfortable about this and I want to get better. So that's the realm that I'm talking about. Now, again, for me with public speaking, I hated it for a long time. I tried to avoid it. Recently, I decided that I wanted to get better at it, and I purposely chose to put myself in this uncomfortable environment, and it was one of the best decisions that I've ever made. That, along with having brain surgery. Now, the emotions that I would get all the physical reactions in terms of being nervous for public speaking. I would get the clammy hands, I would get the dry mouth, the dry throat. I would get what I'm sure many people experience, the sweaty armpits and like the armpit stains. And then you're super self-conscious about it because now everybody can see it and that makes it worse and the whole nine. So I used to get all of that. And to a degree, I still get it a little bit, but it's not nearly as bad. And I'm going to give you an example of how putting yourself in those uncomfortable emotions is so beneficial. Now, I've talked a little bit about this before, but I'm part of this organization called Toastmasters. It helps people with public speaking, just to keep it very brief. Now, every year there is a contest within the organization. So it's an international contest. You can, if you qualify, then you can just enter it. I won't even get into what the qualifications are or anything because this video is not about that. But pretty much anybody can enter the contest. So this year I decided I'm going to enter it. And it was a very nerve-wracking decision because even though I've been doing this for 2 years now, I still get those anxieties about public speaking. But I said, I'm going to put my fear to the test. I entered the contest, and it's like a tournament style contest. So you start at your club level. If you win that, you go to the next level, so on and so forth. Now, I knew that I was going to win my club level because I was the only one who was interested in even entering. So by default, I was going to win. But I still, did my speech so that I could get practice in. Now, my speech was about my brain surgery, but I included some other things. But the gist of it was like brain surgery. I practiced it. I had it memorized, just the whole thing. The day that I did it at my club level, that day I was practicing it. I felt good. I go to my club. All of a sudden, I get the nerves. And I'm like, immediately, my confidence just went down. So I got up, they called me up, I go up, and I almost forget my opening line. The easiest part, which should be the easiest part of the whole thing, is your first, opening statement, your first sentence. I almost forgot that. So then that just put me in a really bad headspace. And, I did the speech and sat down and basically was crying. Like, it wasn't instant, like boohoo tears, but I definitely started tearing up and crying because I know I didn't do well. If I had to rate myself or grade myself, initially I was like, I would give myself a solid 2.5. But really, I would give myself a little bit more. The only thing that saved me is once I started talking, I remembered the whole speech. Like, I had it memorized. But in terms of the delivery, terrible. Absolutely terrible. So let's say I give myself a solid 4.5 out of 10. Now, afterwards, I was, again, so disappointed. I, cried. I gave myself the rest of that evening to just kind of mope in my emotions. And then I said the next day, I need to really get on it so that I can prepare for the next, the next level, which was 2 weeks away, the next contest. I got with my speech coach. We went over a bunch of things and I prepared a much better speech. So I felt more confident. And then going into the next level, I felt so much better. I still had the nerves, but I felt a lot better overall going into it. Now, when I did that next speech, I came in second place, which for me, I didn't care. At that point, I wasn't looking at it as I have to win. I took that pressure off of myself because I was like, this is something I'm still very new at. There's going to be plenty of time for me to enter, contests. I don't have to win this one. It's strictly for experience and to face that fear. And when I tell you, I did the speech, I choked up a little bit during it. The only thing that saved me from completely going downhill in terms of crying and stuff was I had a joke following the difficult part. So I choked up and then followed up with my joke, and then that saved me. And the audience, loved it. And, I wrapped it up. When I sat down, I was shaking in a good way because I was just so proud of myself for facing this monumental fear for me. I was so happy, and the audience gave me a standing ovation. It was so emotional, and just how proud I am, or I was and am of myself. So to kind of wrap it up, you need to experience those really challenging emotions of stress, of anxiety, of uncertainty in terms of whatever makes you uncomfortable. Again, what am I trying to say? A good uncomfortable, not a dangerous uncomfortable, but a good one. So for instance, let's say you have gym anxiety, where you want to go to the gym, you want to exercise, lose weight, whatever the case is, but you have anxiety around the gym, setting. That could be a good place for you to kind of face that fear and, go, whatever the case is for you. For me, it's public speaking. So I needed to feel that really raw, uncomfortable, anxious energy in order to feel that gratitude and that pride feeling on the other side. In my opinion, you can't really get to the place of feeling so proud of yourself if you don't start out doing something that gives you those opposite feelings. So while it's very difficult to do, there were times where I was just contemplating pulling out of the competition because I was just so nervous. But I knew that if I did that, I would end up being so much more disappointed with myself on the other end versus if I just faced the anxiety, even if I bombed it again, even if the second round was another bomb, I'd rather do that and have a learning experience from that. Because whenever you don't put yourself out there, you're not going to learn anything. You're not going to grow. I don't care what it is. The more you avoid doing things that are stressful, again, good stress, but the more you avoid that, the more you're going to inhibit your growth and just be stagnant. And I told myself I didn't want that for me, because another thing is, I truly believe when you approach something that you don't like, that you're not good at, and you devote time and energy and money into it, that's another thing. A lot of times you have to invest financially into whatever your fears are. Sometimes you can get away with not really putting money into it, but to me, it's worth it when you put your money kind of where your mouth is. You want to get better? Okay, show it. So, what was that? Oh, so when you attack something that you really are scared of, once you get over that hump, you meet a new version of yourself. And that's what I've been realizing with this whole journey with the brain surgery and with public speaking, is every time I move a little forward, I'm meeting a new Adrian on the other side. And that is the most beautiful and rewarding part of it. Because 5 years ago, if you would have asked me, would you think about joining an organization, paying to join an organization to get up and speak and then get feedback on it, would you do it? I'd be like, no, absolutely not. And now I can't imagine not being part of this, because the woman that I am right now and the woman that I'm continuing to become is, I'm so happy with the choices that I've been making. And I can say that genuinely. And that's another thing about it, is you start to become so happy with yourself and your confidence goes up so much. I cannot tell you how much confidence I have now just from getting up, and not just from, because it's hard, let's be honest, but from getting up and speaking in front of people and realizing I can do it. I'm not going to die from it. I'm not going to, is it heart, or not heartbreaking? What's the word? Damn, the word just escaped me. Let's just say, is it hard? Yes. Is it, all of the things? Yes. But I can do it, and every time I do it, I'm going to get better and better. I'm going to learn something more. I can ask somebody to record me as I'm doing a speech. I can look back at it, because that's another thing that really helps in this arena of getting better in public speaking. You have to watch yourself, and that is the first couple of times you watch yourself giving a speech, it's cringe. It's so cringy. And you're like, turn this off. I can't watch myself. I can't listen to my own voice anymore. But it is so helpful. So I'm getting used to looking at myself on camera and, I don't want to say performing, but doing a speech basically, which kind of is a performance, a delivery. And I couldn't be more proud of myself. I couldn't anticipate this whole process anymore. I love what I'm doing. And, the next time that I enter the contest, I'm still going to feel all of these things. That's the other thing. I'm not anticipating not feeling nerves anymore. You have to get very comfortable with feeling nervous and anxious. I think some people think you try to get better at something and all of a sudden the nerves are going to go away. No, that doesn't really happen. Even the best speakers will tell you that they still get nervous about, getting in front of thousands of people. It's hard to do, but what you do is you learn how to kind of manage those nerves. That's basically what it is. You don't let the nerves overtake you. You feel it, but it's not so much that you can't function. So I went off on a little bit of a tangent, but those are the reasons why I think it's very important to experience those, we'll call them negative emotions. I don't know if it's really that, but we'll say negative emotions in a safe and productive way. So if there's anything that makes you uncomfortable, write it down below. Let's talk about it. And are you doing anything to get better at it? Because avoiding it is not, in my opinion, is not the answer. So if you have any experiences or examples in your life, please share them below. And I'll see you all in the next video.